Good morning and welcome to today's live show. Make sure that if you are wanting to stick around with us for all of this quad witching today, you join us over on Rumble after the YouTube stream. That's right, we always do YouTube in the morning and then we're taking over for this is the last day. You can watch an all-day stream, so come over and visit us over on Rumble. The link will be down in the description. Hope you guys are ready for a big day. Looks like we're getting that big gap down that we kind of talked about a little bit here. I was like, wouldn't be surprised to see a big gap. I think they want to make you nice and bearish and take out this low and make all those people take those big bad bets, maybe right as we're not supposed to. Now, something that just was quickly pointed out to me by someone was we've noticed that the slightly bigger moves have happened on Mondays, which I think is very interesting. You see we close on Friday. We see big moves on Monday. Actually, this Monday right here, we saw the close on Friday. And on Monday, we see the big move. So Mondays are going to be interesting. And I wonder if we actually do set up this trap, because I am not leaning towards stock market crash. I know if the 2-hour turns down, there is always a risk that we take out that low and something breaks in the system and we could see more downside. But I am more so leaning towards people to get tricked, trapped, and ripped all around. And I think that's just the way it's going to go. I think this is some kind of big trick before you're going to see some kind of rally. And it might be a monstrous one. It might have to build up over time. We'll have to see how it goes. This still could be a complex based on the 2-hour, even the daily chart. We haven't even gotten there yet. This is just part 2 to how this could be really complex. Let's see if we can get to part 3. Part 3 might be in a couple of weeks here, so we'll be watching out for that, because we might be saying low or high just in a little bit. Oh, wrong one. Sorry about that. I want to make sure that you have the link in the description to join us over on Rumble. It is OpX Day. It is a great day to join us over on Rumble after the YouTube stream, right? We will be here all morning or at least for a couple hours here on YouTube. Make sure to join us over there if you are thinking, hey, I need some help today. I need those daily expected moves. Well, then you better be a part of Patreon. But we can pay attention to the fact that we are gapping below the daily expected move. I'm sure my hedge is liking this, but I'm sure my calls are not, which is perfectly fine. That's what the hedge is for, am I right? So we're seeing this go down to 558, already taking out these lows. Very interesting. Now that we are below the daily expected move, you can use that as resistance. Now, something I'm interested in, the Qs had way more implied volatility, so they are not outside of their daily expected move yet. We'll see what happens with this. But that was just something interesting to me. The fact that, at least for the data that I pulled, hey, the Qs had a bigger expected move. The SPY was kind of the unexpected one. Now, what this could mean overall is just the options market for the SPY kind of just didn't price this in while the Qs did. So this might be, weirdly enough, this might be an unexpected move, which is proven by the daily expected move. This is an unexpected move for the SPY, but kind of an expected move for the QQQ, which is very interesting to me. But this very obviously will be, if it holds for 2 hours, crossing down that 2-hour MACD. And most likely we will see 1, 2, and at least 3 bars below. But remember, if we make a really significant divergence down here, if we see this thing shoot lower and then we see that buy come in, we might have ourselves some interesting things to talk about. Something on the 30-minute, we will notice if they want to drag this out into next week, then we could see some structure to head lower. We could see structure to head higher first and go lower. There's a lot of ways they could do it. As we're cutting this low, it would mean to us, hey, anything that is a bounce, we want to see if that's a lower high. That's first of all, because we are cutting the low. The second thing is, if we are just going to see a straight shot down, we will look if a 30-minute divergence does pop up here during the day or maybe going on into next week. You notice that even a look like this would take like 2 or 3 days from where we're at right now. So they can spend a lot of time down here. I don't necessarily think they want to. I don't think, I think this is going to encourage a lot of people to make bearish bets for next week. And that's just how I'm thinking about it right now. As we look today, we have trillions of dollars. I think I said like tens of billions. I'm being dumb, but we do have probably trillions of dollars on the line. We have some huge amount of puts, and look where the calls start, 570. So if we reach down to here and then people pile on next week's, right? I think the goal from this is to increase next week's short positions. They might be successful at that. We have this big bearish bet possible here. Very interesting to see that type of level. but that is really dragging down a lot of things. And I think this last move here is to make people nice and bearish. I just don't. I think. Did you think being a part of a squeeze was easy? Did you think that the market makers want people in the squeeze, or do they want as little people in the beginning of the squeeze as possible so they can rip this thing to the upside and not allow you to really react and rip away some of the money if you are still in an overly bearish state, right? Do they want you part of the squeeze is something that I'm talking about right now. And I'm like, I don't think they want you part of the squeeze, right? Their goal is to take money from you. So that's how I see it at this moment. But if the 2 hour crosses down and never crosses back up, hey, that could be a bad thing. So now that I have seen the move, I can manage trades to the upside if I would like, right? Someone asking me, hey, what's the reason for, taking off half on Meta? Well, we hit that resistance level and we popped back down from it. If I wanted to this morning, hey, I could manage this trade. Why? Because the whole reason I was only holding on to half of the long was in case we saw the trap already set here for something like Meta or the individual stocks. So the SPY does possibly need to go down to that lower level. Now that I know that that is happening, I could manage my risk. I will go through the numbers over on my other screen. That way I can go, okay, what makes the most sense here? Can I hold on to this? Is this a scale-in opportunity? Or do I need to get rid of this for a bit because I can get things a little bit cheaper? And that's something that I'll go over with myself, right? Those are the type of decisions that you have to think of. But yes, you are correct in pointing out we are outside the daily expected move, which means now 560.39 can be resistance. And those put call levels, 550 is a big level. So 560 was a decent size one, right? And we're past that. And it really looks like if you get past that, you keep going down from there, you don't buy it back early on, ooh, you might be heading to 550 pretty quick here. You just don't have that big of a put wall at 555. We'll look for bounces and stuff, little bits of structure. Even this could be taking place. This could be the level that we want to get to, right? We might want to get to here, see that little bounce come in, and then head to lower levels. We'll see throughout the day. I highly assume if this is some kind of trap that they're going to do a lot of negativity like early on in the day, right? We might see this thing get a little bit aggressive. We'll see. Now, if they're not going to fill this gap, then you're going to want to turn up these 30-minute charts really, really fast. Pretty much this needs to be the move, and you have to take all that back. That's something we'll discuss as we see more and more price action. All right, guys, so make sure that as we open up, you do have the ability to join us over on Rumble. That will really help you out because we're going live all dang day. Where the heck is the thing? Freaking boys. All right, so Rumble, there you go. The link is down there in the description. Let's get rid of that bad boy, and let's put up some daily expected moves for you guys, just so you have it in case we are clicking around and that kind of thing. All right, we got to look around, make some little moves here, back and forth. All right, making those moves. Looking at the hedge. Sitting, waiting, wishing. Waiting to see what's going to happen next. All right, so we do see this starting to get a little bit of support. Now we are below the daily expected move, so we can pay attention to that. Always want to pay attention to the fact that this is quad witching. There's a lot that can happen today. We can see big swings up and down and up and down. Future price of AMC after all the splits is only 20 cents. The board members all make millions in salaries, yet none of them are buying AMC stock. This is why GME is the best upside play. Yeah, AMC has a divergence though, so I like it. That's all. GME though, positive on the day. Very interesting for GME to be positive. Meta actually going positive as well, so nothing. I guess I'll hold on to that bad boy for a little bit. But you see SPY just rejecting off right now, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Yeah, I needed to check something this morning, guys. Need to check something this morning. $700 profit on those 555 puts. I held out the gate. Let's go. Nice job, Ta. Nike earnings missed again. Dude, Nike, man. Nike is not a happy camper these days, I feel like. At least on earnings. There is something I needed to check here. Oh, gosh. Give me one moment here. Guys, give me one moment. I'm going to be right back. Two minutes. Don't worry. Be right back. Alrighty, sorry about that, guys. Could be a gap and trap. Yeah, it could be. Always could be. Because now that you're outside of your 68% zone, yeah, the percentages are pointing to right up in here. Must be hunting him. No, Abuela came over this morning, so I wanted to go say hi. Make sure to say good morning. Yeah, here. First, get out of here. Get. Stop messing with my feet. The last thing you want is someone messing with your feet. How do I implement? So you have to draw them up yourself. It's unfortunate, but you have to drop the ones yourself. But you don't have to drop every single one, right? It's like if you have a certain amount of stocks that you like to pay attention to, maybe you like to pay it like SPY in the keys. I would just set it up like this and then just be like this. And all you have to do is, click on these lines over here, boom, horizontal, add that kind of thing. You could change the color coding to exactly like mine. It's pretty much like that. I think if there is a way, I think there is a way I can do this, and I might have to do it, but I'll have to figure it out eventually. How to like share maybe these charts or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I change them every single day. I just think it's not anything too crazy. You just click on it and keep updating it all the time. Yeah. Next pay comes out. I'm big on shorting PayPal. Thoughts? It's down there at the bottom of your screen. It might be a little bit small. It's down there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, we put them up there for now. Just because today's a pretty important day. GME is starting to run before the earnings. Yeah, a little run going on there. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what's going to happen from Lotto stocks later or something. Some kind of stop loss capitulation today. Capitulation would be great. I mean, I think you've seen those all red days kind of thing, but I'm just waiting to see what the trick is. I mean, this still could be some kind of range, right? Maybe we need to break the range. Sick burn. I was kind of hoping Richard was here to hear that. All I know is most cryptos do have those divergences there. I'm gonna click through a few of these. Apple, I think this one. Hey, maybe it's not gonna break down further. Who knows, right? Tesla able to do the thing. That's good. Amazon, nothing too crazy there as well. I really figured like AMD or Nvidia would be the ones to really seriously break down throughout the day if we were going to see a bigger drop than even this. Same with Microsoft. Thought that one would be a 1. Google, not so much. Not so much with Google, but we can always make another point down there. Yeah, it's running pretty good. The thing for me is just AMC's confirmed daily divergence. That's the thing for me. That's making me go like, oh yeah, like that's kind of the signal I'm looking for. Gold finally showing some stuff, maybe. I think it was like this on the, was it the 2-hour? Yeah, we could be making like a weird head and shoulders here, actually. But this crossing down, not necessarily a good sign. You can always go down to the low. GME, we'll see if this actually holds or if this is just, it's kind of breaking through that divergence point there. That's the first step. The big step is see a surge, man. See this thing surge. That'd be fantastic. But GME running. I don't see other things really running here. I'm always iffy about GME with earnings. Earnings proves to be, a lot of the time, negativity can come in with earnings. Like they're prepared for it. I'll have to see. I might look at my other charts on those. Nice little gap down. See what happens from here. This was pretty much definitely expected. You can see that we're not very surprised. What's going on with Tesla? Well, Tesla's one of the ones that confirmed up on the 30-minute. So maybe we leave the gap behind, right? The daily expected moves for the SPY don't really suggest that this is very, very possible. That's almost a daily, probably 3 standard deviation move. So as far as it goes, this could be about a 3 standard deviation move to come all the way down to these gaps, right? So it would say that is very, very unlikely, but I was just thinking, hey, maybe we do go fill that as unfinished business. Either way, we see a trick in the morning here. Most likely this trick would need to continue in the morning, or we need to see people play some very, very bearish bets all of a sudden. I guess we'll see that PCC in just a moment. Triple witching though, you can see crazy stuff in triple witching. That's what I'm saying. According to the percentages, it's already low percentage, but the SPY really, I think the SPY really fudged up in the options because really your daily expected move should be like this, I think. But they're not, so people were positioned this way. That's why this will catch them off guard. Tesla seems to buck the market trend up or down. I mean, technically, Tesla's the one that showed you that stocks were going to be really weak the earliest. PCC coming out in a moment. We'll see when that updates from that. What is that? 0.884. We'll see when that updates. All right, so let's go look at some stuff over here real quick. Interesting. Oh, sorry, Alan. I just ran over a toe. My bad, buddy. I am so sorry. I did not mean for that to happen, bud. Ouch, that probably hurt. I'm sorry, bud. Eesh. Eesh. Yikes. He's looking at me like, that was rude. Yeah, they always do that. Dogs always do that. They sit like right in the spot where you're like, dude, come on. The crazy thing is, man, if you're going to crash, you need a reason for a crash, man. Let GME pop off. I mean, that's enough to maybe have a reason for a crash, actually. Crazy enough. If it really is there, if the problem's there, if everyone's talking about it, everyone's paying attention to that data, and they are right, hey, it would say it could disrupt markets, but damn. Yeah, you thought that was me, Noah? Nah. I just ran over a toe, man, or something. Or a tail. I don't know. I couldn't really see him down there. He likes to lay under my desk, so. Whatever. He deserves it this morning. Alan's a fatty and only thinks about his food. And he stole a piece of my breakfast while I was upstairs saying hi to Abuela, so now I'm pissed at him, but. So maybe that's karma for you, Alan. Huh? Yeah, maybe that's karma. Overall, he's a good boy. All right, he's just a fatty. I like my lazy fat guys. He's not really lazy though. He just kind of. He's not that lazy. He's just always on it. He's always like, anybody that walks by, he's staring at them with his yellow eyes. He has like orange eyes. Okay, let's take a look over at that GME move. That's kind of interesting. What's a daily move for GME? Is this surprising by any means for the daily move for GME? Excuse me, guys. Let's see. So that's the level. Okay, we're pretty much there. So this is pretty much what's expected for the day. Anything past that would be a little bit more, but pretty solid little volume coming in there. So interesting. But it's just weird for, usually you just see these things routed to dark pool on Fridays. And if they're making you see it, it might just be like, hey, take a bunch of calls into the earnings, and they just drop it on the earnings because they see the E2, right? So they're like, hey, this is where the people who want the squeeze could get some news that's really good, and so we need to prepare a bunch of money for it. We've had low implied volatility for a long time. It's kind of like, how much liquidity do they have? Do they have enough to fight if GME had some good news come out? That's kind of how I see it at this point. If they do, then the manipulate well, the pushing of price down, it still will be a battle between the bulls and the bears, right? But the bears will just have a slight advantage all the time with GME, if they can keep routing things to dark pools. But the fact that you're seeing it makes me a little bit fishy on a Friday before earnings, right? But as far as the SPY goes, ooh, it'd be interesting, but is that 2 hour crossing down, right? That's the thing. This 2 hour isn't even crossed down yet, so you're going to need more of a flush than this to really show. And then I think we're going to do something interesting here. Oh man, Ari loves when Abu is here. So if that confirms down, we'll obviously just see the 30-minute continue to trail in the downward direction. People are probably like, why do you sound so sluggish and slow today? I'm not. I'm sad. Alan ate my breakfast sandwich. I bet. Hold on. We're good. They were just grabbing something. Sad day. Gold falling. GLD. Remember that this guy, not a very good look. Kind of a big deal, though. We may have to do something here. What shall we do, friends? Wow. Okay. SPY not looking too bad there. Now this could be a 2 hour. This could be the first 2 hour pullback. The way this goes deeper is, well, one, you don't have much time till the end of the month, and two, if this daily can cross down. So we'll see if we have more time there. But I can tell you, as far as the percentages go, GLD doesn't have much time. And if we take out this low, everyone's going to be saying like we invalidated it. Holy cow, this GLE puts paid. Finally, I know. And that's just the first part of it, really. It's kind of like, that's the opportunity when you see a big gap and the money's good. Hey, well, look at those runners. See if you can actually take profit on something when it's fast. That's what I like to do, at least. If I see big profit, you guys probably saw that with like JP Morgan. It ended up going lower. I sold all of it just because I was like, I like 300%. I'm like, that's cool. And then it caught a bounce and it went down like from that level another 2-3 points. And it's like, okay, but by that point, what would be the value of that put? Well, if it bounced, it lost some value, it lost some time, and then by the time it's down here, maybe it's like 350%. So I was pretty comfortable selling that. Could have reloaded the position at that 5-day tag, but took half off. Which half, bottom or top? Just kidding, Richard. Don't answer that. Let's see, Governor, I just found out that the day fee for SPCE is more than 250% with 45K Shares available for borrowing. I think the squeeze is so in. Well, we're in it. 30% of float, 10 million shares sold short as of Feb. Okay, so SPCE with that big crazy price action to the upside. Hey, yeah, maybe it is just you know, that overexposure to the short side, and then those buyers step in and something gets taken by surprise and they got to cover, right? That's kind of what you're looking for in those type of games. You're looking for a time where tons of people want to buy something and then the short sellers have to cover positions everywhere. That's pretty much the game there. If that is achieved to the full extent, you know, people looking at GME and AMC, it's like if that's achieved to the full extent, then you could see some really crazy like Volkswagen type stuff. Wife tricked me. She didn't make me a nice coffee. She made my mother-in-law a nice coffee. Me, black. I was like, oh, okay. I like black coffee. But she broke out the full, what is it? She has like one of those full, she used to be a barista, so we have one of those things where you can make a nice coffee. But I don't get that privilege. Test of 558. I don't think I can in the EU. We have certain types of options and certificates that are available for trading, like unlimited turbo or turbo feature or something like that. Well, back when I couldn't trade, if I thought like a squeeze was potential and I didn't want to do options, or back in the day when I just didn't do options, um, I usually would look for those at least 3 times leverage type stuff. So usually if I thought a downturn was happening, that's how I really got connected with UVXY. And usually if an upturn, or I could play like SQQQ, SPXS, and then SPXL and TQQQ were 2 other ones that I used to just like swing trade those. But I would still do my analysis on the SPY and the Qs. Maybe I'm just too dumb to figure out how to trade options in Nordnet. I don't know. The thing is, Gabanaber, if you have time, if you're at least a little bit, you know, if you're as old as me, then you have time, I think, and you can do the slow way. Options has its own problems, right? More risk, more money to be made, right? More money to be made, more problems to be had. So if you're liking your growth, you know, if you're liking your growth, you're liking how things are going, you know, maybe you just switch up and go, okay, maybe I try some 3x stuff. But other than that, I think leveraging yourself to options if you're in a comfortable spot. It's kind of like if you're doing really well and your account's grown for like pretty significantly, say in like the last 3 years doing or even year doing something, then options will just maybe ruin that, right? Your strategy is working overall. And the thing is, as your money grows, your trading can exponentially grow and you can put that at way less risk by staying away from options. Like, if anything, you could research using options to hedge positions, right? If you see something risky, kind of like I did just here, right? This was an overall hedge to the longs. Overall, right? Just a little hedge there. And that hedge made money, actually. That's kind of the funny part. Hedge actually like makes money. Kind of crazy. I'm gonna do something real quick here. Do this, get some stuff set up. I just want to be prepared in case things just curl up here. Let's see. I'm gonna look through some of these guys. AMD dropping down, Nvidia dropping down. I thought that'd be a little ABC type move. GME holding above a daily expected move. Palantir holding up, but man, this looks like a 2-hour drop might be coming soon. It can leak into next week. Like, these are some signals to pay attention to here. It's just Palantir would be interesting. JP Morgan hitting a weekly expected move. Good move, right? Finally, we fail this one. We don't fail this one. Nice move to a weekly expected move there. Went directly to it. But I'm still wondering if we just need to make that structure, right? If this 2 hour needs to curl down, we need to see that spike to get everyone like, yeah, this is terrible. And then we just see some buyers step in down towards that 550. Because we're still holding below 560. And 555 doesn't seem like the biggest level. Let's see this. PCC, people aren't that bearish yet, as far as I see. How's the VIX doing? VIX curled up on that 2 hour, right? So we finally got the good confirmation from the 2 hour, suggesting that you can see more upside. Now, this can fail, right? This can fail, but technically your good confirmation happened last night, right when it opened. That was the good confirmation right there. That was the first bar from when it opened for me. That's like 2 a.m. So you got to look for, hey, is that 30-minute really close to the center line? Like if that crossed down, would it be at risk of taking out this low? And I think the answer to that would be yeah. And I think if you're going to ruin these divergence points, well, then you might make a new one, right? So if you're going to see some kind of rip like that, you're probably going to see something like this have to form if this all gets violated. For now, it's turned in the upward direction. It's positive. It's still like sitting right on the 5-day. So I don't think you're out of the risk yet. But could be. So let's look over here. Yeah, we can check on LMT soon. How much would it be here? How much would this be? Would this be crazy to do? No, we'll see how it shapes up. Yeah, I mean, IWM's kind of in that similar boat, right? 30-minute divergence at the top, right? At least very much so looks like it. There you go, 30-minute divergence at the top. 2 hour crossing down maybe, right? So 2 hour cross down, we can go down and fill this gap. That's why I'm kind of trying to be as patient as possible today. See what kind of downward moves happen. Maybe look for the end of the day. How's volume doing? As far as it goes, well, let's compare it to, maybe these bars yesterday. We see the volume is overall coming down. But this is the very beginning of the bar. Most likely this is high volume because this is only 30 minutes into the bar. So if you look at the 30-minute, look at those spikes. Now it's showing them as green, just so you're aware. That's just measuring the opening, the close though. So there's a lot of selling behind this bar. Let's just put it that way. But it is on lighter volume than the previous one, which is interesting. So kind of want that to happen. You kind of want these sells to come in on lighter volume, and then you see that spike up. That'd be nice, but we'll see throughout. I don't think volume's that bad. AMC and GME chat's just kind of like, hey, GME's curling up. That's great, but it's running into a daily expected move. It's pretty much right on it. AMC needs to curl up on a 30-minute to show positivity, but has confirmed daily divergence. So I'm going to be holding on to an option here. That's the signal that tells me, hey, well, daily momentum's what you need. Maybe the wild card, well, I guess I said wild card in my video last night. Maybe that's a sign. No. So I think what's mainly thinking here is still we need to watch out for that 550. How's Meta doing? Meta's doing fine. See, Meta's holding. This is why I'm like, managing. I'll manage half, let it drop down, maybe add the next, right? That 30-minute can get going. But I want to see if, it's kind of like, hey, when the SPY goes down to lower levels, maybe that's the time I go look at my other ones and try to put back in that half I took out. Oh yeah, yeah. It's just, OpEx can be crazy moves up and down, so moving pretty quick. Like if you have short expiration, that would be probably the move, right? Because a lot of the time you'll see like it's very sporadic sometimes. But actually, a lot of the 2024 quad witchings and stuff like that were like, it was kind of like this, like you kind of doodle around, spike, doodle around, spike, doodle, and that's it, right? You get like two big moves. So is this the first big move? Is the first big move done? That's going to be the question for the day, and we have to figure that out. As of right now, I'd say, hey, you know, this is technically, this is lower probability than this, but you have a lot of time to the end of the day. LMT, let's go look at that real quick. Yeah, pretty nice. I mean, I think I would figure that 30-minute crossing up here, not the best cross up, but solid gap, right? This is where you kind of miss out because you'd like to see that build up, then curl down, maybe curl back up, then gap. Or at least cross up to here, so you see that confirmation, then it gaps. But you miss out on it. Daily scale can turn up if it wants to. It hasn't turned down yet. Daily's not even overbought. 2 hours trying to get going here, not overbought either. So, yeah, looks like a decent move. Doesn't look like the most simple thing. Like, it doesn't look like, oh, that was the easiest trade in the world. Gaps at 111, not 108. Why is the gap at 111? I'll double check, but I don't know why you're saying the gap's at 111. I mean, if you pull out to a daily chart, that's just a wick. That's in the middle of a wick. I like my gaps to be at that closing price, right? So about 108.76-ish area. You're telling me that this right here is gap, this number right here. Pretty much right here. So unless we have a different style of thinking about gaps, I would say that the gap is down at 108. Towards 108, 108.70, 108.50. Good stuff, good stuff. Kind of always there's a tunage. Yeah, I look at the top of the candle. Yeah, that's a soft. That'd be a soft close. Like, people think about gaps in all different ways. A lot of people think, oh, the gap's not filled on if a wick hits it. Like some people think that. People think differently about it. I like the. I'd always just take the close. You see a bar like this, and then the gap's way up here, and you're telling me the gap fill is right there. Let's call that probably a soft fill. I'll give you a name for it and call it a soft fill, but that's not something that I truly believe is a thing personally. Nvidia is starting to turn down a little bit here, curled down on the 30-minute. Looking for if that 2 hour needs to make that move down. Kind of looking like that. Maybe we do break down from here. Maybe we head lower, right? But we have some levels to pay attention to for something like Nvidia. I wanted to look over at like Microsoft, Google, these ones. Like I figured they would be interesting. Amazon's looking pretty decent there. Actually, I'm gonna look through my other charts for a moment, put you guys on the spot, because I just want to see these with monthly expected moves. Let's go take a look over here. Okay, so pull up 2 hour charts and just kind of click through these bad boys and see if anything's making an interesting move, right? See if anything's making anything interesting. Looks like Apple's trying to make the higher low. Tesla's getting rejected off of a monthly move with that wick just now, but we'll see if that fully rejects. Nvidia's in the middle. That's the one I think would drop. Meta is interesting for sure. Let's see these guys, like the SoFi's, the Palantir. Palantir's sitting in the middle. Gold, congratulations if you're able to catch the gold move. JP Morgan looks like pullback for now. Maybe adding Meta here ain't the worst thing in the world. Let me look at the 30-minute for Meta and see if it helps him make that decision. I don't want to place it before the weekend. We've seen those big moves on Fridays. Damn, call side pretty expensive. I feel like the options did not get too much cheaper on that Meta play, weirdly enough. I have to look for some, see if anything's a little bit cheaper. Maybe adding back to Meta's not the play. I could take another one. Interesting. Let's do. See what we can do here. Check Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia's just does it keep curling down, right? It's curled down, so negativity would be the most obvious, and then measured move from like if this was some kind of slanted, maybe cup and handle, pretty much would take you all the way to this gap fill down here. That's about it. Right, we're still thinking that this could have some time behind it. I think they want it. I think they want you to see all of this. I think they want you to be like, oh my god, we gapped down to hurt your options, right? If you're in call side. Then we see that gap down, right? We even drew this. We went, That's kind of how I see it right now, but I think that's the likely scenario that's playing out, right? We didn't see this. We didn't see this. We saw this. So this would be very nice for you to see throughout the day, get you nice and bearish at the low, then see that curl up. And the reason that I'm also still pointing towards that is because this didn't even make anyone that bearish, right? How many times have we seen a big gap down and we see that PCC open up at 1.12? Well, we don't see that today. We see people still neutral, right? People still neutral. VIX holding, right? If the VIX is going to fail this move, 30 minutes got to curl down. It's still lackluster, right? People are still willing to be to the call side. That's probably why calls are still like weirdly the same, at least as far as farther out, a little bit the same, because this did not go boom at all, right? We didn't see that shift. So that means people overall willing to hold those calls on the monthly. So shoot it lower, get them more bearish. Let's get them more bearish. More bearish. That's what we need, right? When SPX calls, when you see a good signal that you're willing to risk money behind. I really want to short to the weekly, but it's just not smart. So yeah, I think that's perfectly fine to say. It's good to practice those good habits. Yes, this is very likely at this point to be playing out to that downward gap towards 550. You know, if I was going to do that, I would risk an amount of money that I don't, mind really losing, because you're outside of a 68% zone with a lot of time left. You haven't seen confirmation from the 2-hour yet or anything, but you do have confirmation. If the short was here, right? We know that the short was here. I believe the hedge was right here, and then the short was actually here, and then you could hold that to the weekly expected move. But you most likely, if you were playing something like that, right, you wouldn't say, oh, I believe that's going to happen in one day. And then you'd be looking at your value of that option maybe you have for still 2 weeks. So that's overall how I see it at this moment. I think I would agree with you in the decision making of maybe this isn't the best time. I think it's pretty likely that we do this, but as far as percentages go, right? Just because I think it, the percentages say very unlikely and this is more likely. So as far as, decision making as far as risk, I don't think that's a bad thing to say. Quad witching, very simply, is when a shit ton of options are all on the same day about to expire, like monthly, quarterly, all these type of things. Yeah, you don't need to read into it more than there's a frick ton of money at risk. that's it. And you can do that. I could display that to you by simply just showing you the amount of contracts people are betting on right now. Right? Almost 6 million versus next week you have not even 1 million. Right? So next Friday you have like 7 times less money risked than right now. Maybe more than that. Probably more than that, right? Because you have quarterly expiry, all those other things. I think when big money makes a move today, it's going to be big. Well, when does big money like to move? Big money likes to move when? Well, big money likes to move usually towards the end of the day. Well, if they wanted you to see something, they want to squeeze this thing to 580 to make everyone lose money. That'd be kind of crazy. I mean, some people would make money on the call side. But I mean, look at the calls. I mean, if you really look at this, you're going, yesterday, we actually had some levels up here that were bigger. Weirdly enough, you actually had some levels up here that were bigger. Notice the number went down. So what do you think went away? The calls in here or the puts? No, the puts look like they got bigger. This is why I'm like, maybe you give them a hint like, oh yeah, we're going to go to 550. And these people are like, yay, I'm going to get paid out in the morning. Takes a long time. And then you just see, okay, a little spike a little bit lower. And then maybe we just see a wick to that gap and make it so it's hard to react to. But overall, look at all the activity here. Look at where you would close above to hurt all those puts. It would be 560, maybe even 565. And you might want to close right on top of 570 or 573, somewhere in here, right? Because then all the calls start to get real big in this area. So you would probably say this area in here is a very likely area if you want to see people lose money today to land, which is pretty funny because that's just the top end, right? So the place where people lose the most amount of money is, weirdly enough, right up in here, I believe. Let me double check, make sure I'm seeing that correctly. Yeah, pretty much right in that level. Right up in here would be where people lose a decent chunk of money. And you see that from Max Payne too. Max Payne all the way at 580, all the way up here. So this area looks like the area where most likely to land, but we'll see. Because right now you're nowhere near that, and you're ending up in the downward direction. So you're most likely seeing something a little crazy. You're still in the weekly expected move though. Bullish divergence on the minute chart. Here's the bottom for now. I don't believe in minute charts at all. Minute charts, you will see a huge amount of failure all the time. Tell me it's on a 5-minute and I'll start to read into it a little and still be like, those fail all the time. Show me it on a 15-minute and I'll read into it even more, but I'll still be like, those fail a lot of the time. Show me it on a 30-minute and I'll be a happy camper. You know, it's on the 30-minute divergence that likes to turn down 2-hour charts. So I'm going to believe in a 30-minute way more than I believe in a 1-minute, because a 30-minute has 30 1-minute bars in it. That's all. That's just me though. Maybe you have your thing and this is how you like to play stuff. I don't look at 1-minute charts. I think it's I think that most people cannot be skilled in a 1-minute chart, and in order to learn how to trade based on a 1-minute chart, it takes a lot of time. And if you're actually risking money while learning, well, then you might want to see if you can remain solvent, because if you see a single divergence on a 1-minute chart, usually it doesn't mean shit. I mean, unless you're making little, 10%. If you're someone who wants to just make those little 10%, then it gets to the point where it's like, hey, would you rather risk small amounts of money rolling that ball around a roulette wheel 1,000 times, or would you rather risk it, 3 times with a better percentage strategy? You'd have to risk more money, but little 1-minute trades are kind of like that. Weekly moves look like too big of gaps to me. Well, you're in extreme volatility. I think the reason people are tripped out by how big these moves are, by the way, is because we've been in a market that's very much so like yeah, we've gone through bad things and we've seen times where those weekly moves get that big, but people kind of forget about those. These times make you kind of forget because IV can be actually pretty low in a squeeze. And then during these type of times, it's pretty regular, 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 regular. Even these drops in here are regular. And then we experience this, volatility picks up just a little bit, and then it's regular, 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 regular. So most of the time you're going to see smaller expected moves than this. So I think that's why people get tripped out in these times. For GLD, well, I'd just be looking at a monthly. Me personally, I'd just be seeing, I'd be like, hey, if I'm going to try a short here, I'm probably doing GLD going, okay, do we come in the monthly expected move? So I mean, I would say 271 would be a breakout area. This gap right here, 270.50 area would be good. Obviously, that would be breakout. So I'd have my little zone maybe like this in here and be like, okay, that looked important. This looks important. And this looks important in here. So all of this area right here could be important. Looks like maybe 7 points lower until you maybe catch a bounce. Like that's where the 2 hour would want to get to see that support come in. But if I'm looking at a monthly expected move, I'm probably targeting that next week, right? At least if I take some profit, I might leave a runner to see if we get there. That's over on Patreon. We do have a daily expected move for gold as well. Holding up pretty well here though. Really not too bad. Actually seeing the buying pressure here. Not buying pressure, but enough to say like, hey, this thing ain't throwing up all day. Expected moves on DAX. This looks like the 2 hours. So you got to watch if that 2 hour can curl up now. This is the time where it can always continue, right? I always say, I'm like, always think it can continue, especially if it does something like this. Yes, that could be considered double top if I have a clear divergence. Do you have clear divergence? You had it here on the RSI. You don't right now, right? You might have that multiple point. We'll see if this can curl down a what? A daily chart. It has curled down a daily chart. So even if the 2 hour does catch a bounce, this thing could actually rip up to here. But if it doesn't curl up the daily, hey, that daily most likely will be going to lower prices. 22.2K looks very likely for the first area to get to. You start to lose that, break down, use that as resistance. That's going to be a big problem. You're probably going to gaps, and then you're hoping this chunk in here can hold you up. What it seems like to me, but you always got to understand. You always want to understand that markets can remain very irrational. So if that 2 hour just curls up, you can see positivity for a couple of days. It's crazy, but that's how it works. And then one day you'll see some kind of massive drop. So sounds like, I mean, it caught a good one. That's a good area. Downside prices for Apple for March 17, 21 chart, and was thinking it's a pretty steep difference. It is. GME earnings on Tuesday. Yeah, just know they're, I mean, they see the E2 guys. You know, if you really believe that short sellers are really trying to push that thing to zero, which we kind of already know that's happening. If you think they still have liquidity to push it to zero, meaning, you know, I don't know. It's like if they still have liquidity to push it down, which I already think that they're probably doing things in other markets to just make money anywhere. They do it with Bitcoin. They do it with the crypto market all the time. You see these big pumps or big dumps from Bitcoin really fast. Well, that's probably set, and then GME just drops all of a sudden. I'm just saying, but you will still see signals for it. So right now, GME, hey, still curled up on the 2 hour, curling up on the 30-minute, running into a daily expected move, violating a lot of the divergence points between all these highs. So I don't think this is a bad move. I just think it needs to continue if you're going to see a squeeze. So I'll be holding on to some of those. Yeah, Meta's holding up well, but because volatility didn't see a big spike from this gap, I'm not thinking people are really getting out of their calls yet. That's why I think dropping lower would convince people to get the hell out. Patreon community, the 2-hour head and shoulders measurement would take us down to that level. 2994 on GC. Yeah, gold will be important next week. 4-hour here, able to cross. Does have 4-hour divergence on the futures. So very key there. And you're saying what, 2994? 2994 would be the bottom here. That would make some sense. I think if it wants to go higher, you see this thing just wipe this out, actually. I think you see it wipe it out and go down into these type of areas, right? Which is kind of what you have circled over on GLD. That would be very important, but you're first looking at this, and that's pretty good, and it creates this little area in here. You start to lose that, ooh, you better get a wick or something. Daily scale for futures looks like a rollover here could get ugly, and you have a monthly expected move, which is suggesting that rolling over is very possible. Once again, this could be a rollover for a few days to get down into here and then curl back up. But if it gets down to lower levels and you see something like this, that can be a big problem, because I believe you do have weekly divergence as well. I believe, yeah, you have weekly divergence as well. So I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to this. I think a lot of people are overall too greedy, I think, with gold. I'm going to be aware if they're right, and this thing can go to that 3,200, or some people saying 3,600. But I see weekly divergence, and if that starts to confirm, that means you're cutting this low, and you might have to head all the way back down to like 2.6K. You might have to you might even head all the way down to this 50 at just 2,600 flat. So this is the time where next week, the monthly expected moves are saying you're very high percentage to keep dropping, right? We're pretty far outside of those expected moves. Okay, I highly doubt if we curl up on a 30-minute here that we're going to see further downside then. But I figured the trap would want to... What if we go up, fill the gap, and drop it all right back down? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Meta's a head and shoulders. We talked about it in the video last night. Just looking for the confirmation back up on a 30-minute for that bad boy. I would not buy UVXY here. Buying UVXY here is difficult, because if you buy UVXY and you hold it for the wrong amount of time, and this squeeze sometime begins, right? We don't have to go down to this squeeze, but I think we should. But just because I think it doesn't mean it has to happen. And the thing is, that means I'm trying to make money here at the risk that we end up doing this. All right, the bigger percentage is up here. So am I going to take a trade that says we're going to do this with only 5 days or 6 days left before expiration, and a 2-hour signal down at the lows, a 30-minute signal down at the lows? Yeah, we can always go make another one, but am I just trying to make money too fast at that point? Or am I going to be patient for the really big, the better opportunity, in my opinion? Yeah, we took back. We're at least going to try to keep tagging that 560. IonQ and things like that, I think they've been a little bit rough there for a second. Ahmad, thank you so much for subscribing. IonQ, they really gave it up for a second here, but this could just be 2-hour pullback, right? This could be retesting in these areas. We kind of skipped past some stuff here. So weirdly enough, I mean, if you do this, you go like this, you go like this, you go, okay, left, right? It almost looks even. It's just like kind of those right shoulder that could have been. Retest the breakout area. Can we curl up? Right? The way it breaks down is in the shorter time frames. We see this 30-minute curl up for a bit here, right? We're at the key level here. This is how it breaks down. There's a way up, there's a way down, usually for everything. And you see something like this. So if the 30-minute just curls up and then starts to fail back into negative territory, problem for IonQ. That would mean daily divergence might get set up soon if that's going to catch it, right? It's going to maybe be losing the 200 at that point. So it's kind of like higher low, or do we make a daily divergence, right? 2-hour higher low, or do we make a daily divergence? This is one that had divergence at the low as well, suggesting that that's a pretty, at least, moment where you're going to get a bounce. I don't think I want to call that too good of a base just yet, but how do you make it a good base? You see positivity, and then you make that higher low. The reason I'm saying it's just not a good base is because look at this move down. I mean, it's just straight down. There's no real tapering going on. You kind of did right there. You kind of did right here, but it's just not the best. So a higher low seems very necessary for IonQ. All right, we are now back above 560. Let's see how things behave now. How's Tesla doing? Pretty good. Actually, what is Tesla's weekly or monthly expected move? Oh, we just ran into it. Okay, cool. As of right now, Tesla just ran its head directly into bottom side monthly expected move. Nvidia is still holding at the lower level. Meta looking like it wants to do something. Amazon looking like it might want to do something. Let me look at Amazon too again. Maybe up to there. Beastia, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for subscribing, bud. Maybe I'll add to the Amazon play instead. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So that's holding up very well. I still want to make sure to be patient. I kind of want to make a decision at the end of the day. I'm try to be as patient as possible today, even though I'm itching. I feel like it's a fire sale out there. Just that would be a little crazy, wouldn't it, RTV? That'd be a little crazy. Even for quad witching, that'd be crazy. To see all that, see a gap, fill the gap, come back down, then curl up, all within one day. I think that's a little bit crazy. Does that suggest? I like to do my analysis on VIX. UVXY has decay in it, RTV, so that can mess with the price of the stock. You'll notice that it's always heading in the downward direction. That's because it has decay. So you have to be very careful with your timing there. You have to understand that technical analysis on something that decays is not the best thing, right? So even on if it says 3x leverage, I'm assuming it has decay, and I'm looking at the thing that it's leveraging, not the actual leveraged chart. So UVXY, paying attention to VIX and the SPY, right? Looking for the opposite things for SPY. If I see a short setup, okay, then I can buy UVXY. If I see a long setup, then I could sell UVXY. What do you mean by decay? Well, if you can look it up on the internet right now. Go say, just type like, does UVXY have decay, and how much is the decay? Decay means that every single day it is guaranteed to go down by a certain amount of, like, say, percent or points. So you can look, and it might be like a point. I don't know what the percentage is. I could look it up real quick, but say it decays by 0.25% every single day, which means an option is very difficult to pull off. That's why your timing and the amount of time you actually hold on to an option with those leveraged ones is a pretty big deal. People are very confident to hold on to like SQQQ and things like, or TQQQ and things like that, which is fine, but you still want to see if there's decay in it, just to make sure you know. Because if you thought like theta was going to hurt you on a regular option, well, look at what theta on a decay can do. I know, Noah. I kind of like that Amazon look. Like it's really just sitting in that zone. Like, hey, I kind of want to curl up here, man. I kind of want to curl up. I already have all the divergences, right? So Amazon's kind of like, I'm ready, man. Let's do this thing. Amazon's like, get me to that 213, baby. Yeah. It's building in our zone. We like that. I'm going to extend it out a little bit. This zone's been really, really nice. Well, isn't this market just fun? I think it is. I mean, my hedge, I'm thinking about selling that off soon because it's outside of the daily expected move. I'm not thinking a crash is going to happen. I'm not hedging for a crash. I'm just trying to make that little bit of money back in case something bad happened, but I wanted to hold in case we just saw that gap up. So, because people are pretty bearish in today, over a 2.0 put to call ratio according to the Max Payne. But I still have not seen people get back. People are getting overall bullish in the PCC. I just don't. see it properly. I don't think that's, I mean, as far as it goes for the day, we know that going to the upside would really hurt people. So we'll see what happens. But maybe we see like, we could see another upward move and still get that corrective move back down. That's why I'm going to watch the SPY very clearly, closely. I think it is much less likely to see us like close below the monthly expected move, weirdly enough. I know it's weird, but I think you have more things pointing to, hey, people are going to get taken off guard here. And Amazon's really holding up well. I think that one looks like the options look a lot better for Amazon. The options look a lot better for Amazon. Meta looks like people are already maybe stacking calls or something in Meta, which is interesting, but Amazon looks pretty decent. We shall see. I just really thought we needed that spike from the CPC. Do you have monthly expected moves for Amazon and Meta too? Yep, they're over on Patreon. Those will change like next week. So after next week, if you, by the way, even if you join them for the monthly expected moves now, you just have to scroll down and find monthly expected moves for March. It says March of 2025 on it. Even if you do it now, it's very useful because you're outside of monthly expected moves, right? Amazon is on one right now. It's very nice to see it and then look and be like, hey, well, these are really seeing something unexpected and they have great reversal signals. Okay, they can maybe get back in that move. That's kind of why we're looking at GLD and saying this looks like a potential top. Do you expect SPY to be above the monthly? I think it'll get back above the monthly next week personally, but you know, that doesn't mean, hey, go take a trade. I'm trading like that. No, I'm still taking further out into April because I know that it's still a percentage chance you create that 2 hour base next week and then you see that upward move, you know, that doesn't take you back into that monthly. Right now, you would need probably some random news or this to base out on bad news. So I say those type of things. I think it will. Just because I think it doesn't mean it has to happen. I'm not positioning for a trade that says, yes, we definitely get into a monthly expected move next week. No, I'm building a position because I think we're going to end up probably back in that move next week. That's my thought. But my trade is I think we're going to be at much higher prices over the next month. I think we're going to see a squeeze eventually. That can take a lot of time. You can fool around here for a long time. Yeah, I still have half that trade in Meta. Haven't lost too much value there, but thinking about stacking actually the Meta stuff back into Amazon. I just like the look better, right? Whichever one makes it more comfortable for me. So I'm thinking about just doubling the position in Amazon, which means I can, you know, it's a little bit cheaper now, so I can get a couple more contracts. Mainly targeting the April 17th expiration. Because here's the thing, if we see this thing start to squeeze next week, we go in that monthly expected move, and we're actually going to get a full-on squeeze. We get updated monthly expected moves. A lot of the time, you see the squeeze go all the way at least to the next week's weekly, or 2 weeks weeklies, or the upside monthly expected move. So this is where it's like, probably the last time you saw this was when I started to scale out as NVIDIA started to head up. We took that NVIDIA position a couple months ago during that big pop. Well, we just, you know, kind of scale out as it goes up, and that's really good. Like that's what I like to do. So Amazon looks really interesting here. Seeing if that can confirm up on the 30-minute. Not trying to be too hasty with it. Pin it at 560 though. People could pile on bearish bets throughout the day, but we're just not seeing that as far as I'm seeing right now. Yeah, an initial jobless claims next Thursday. PC on Friday. Interesting. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm kind of expecting Amazon to get a pretty big move because of all those divergences. I think I called it like a penta divergence last night or something. You can always make more, but as of right now, it really looks like it might want to get a snapback to like, shoot, probably 215. But that could take 2 weeks to happen. Hey, that's dope about LMT. Only gonna see a squeeze when I buy puts. I'm not ready to buy puts yet. Well, yeah, patience, right? Patience. This can always happen. Richard already said he saw the gap down. I think he got the gap down from gold, actually. I think he said his GLD play paid off. Very nice. Filling of the gap here. Very nice. Very excited. I probably didn't catch it. What was the strike you were going on Amazon? I can go further out if I want to make like big money on a squeeze. I'm trying to keep it pretty close. So Amazon mostly looking at like the 200, just that flat number. I'm like, if we can take that back, oh boy, that'd be good. You know, right? 200's a whole number, so I like it. It's right at the edge of our zone. We could tap back into that zone and keep going higher. And then my targets to really get to are up in this little box right here. I'd really like to see a full move into that box, and that's where I'm really thinking, okay, that's where I'm going to potentially be taking some good profit. But that could, once again, that could take 2 weeks to get there. I'm prepared for that, right? I'm prepared to move money around, trade back and forth, cut a loss, cut a whatever, so I don't take big loss. Thankfully, you know, this first one, we were able to make money on Meta, and we're able to make money on the hedge, actually. So potentially just get rid of the hedge. I'm not leaning towards stock market crash at all. That's just me. That's what I'm deciding to do with my money. Are you self-taught, Lucas? Your TA seems very knowledgeable, and I've learned a great deal from you already. I would say I'm like 80% self-taught. I think I've taken 2 stock market courses that I don't think even helped me. That's why I don't really talk about them. It was just a simple swing trading course. I think that's a good base for everyone. That's why we have one down in the description that's always $50. It's a great entry level thing to just be like, okay, just let me get a hang for how I can pay attention to charts. But yeah, that's how I see it. I don't think those were really helpful. It's just like my college degree. It's kind of like that. I have my college degree, but when I started my own business back in 2017, I had to learn how to start a business totally. So I think it's a lot like that. I think my own research, yeah, it's good to have that base from like college to know how to learn, to get the discipline, but I got that a lot from soccer. But a lot of it comes down to discipline. I would say discipline, passion, and your why. I think your why is a big reason. If your why is money, I get it. Like, I get it. You want to make money. Don't have your why be money. Have your why be what the money is for. Have your why be improving the lives of people around you. Make it more meaningful. Green paper isn't that meaningful. It really isn't. I mean, I know we all need it, but, you know, at the end of the day, would you rather spend no money and hang out with, you know, your 3 best friends, or would you rather spend all of the money by yourself? It's like, at the end of the day, money's important, but your why should be something more meaningful than the green. Money can come and go, time you can't get back, and the time you spend with people you can't get back either. So you stare at the chart. That's true too. I mean, we talked about how the longer that you're in the game, the more you get better at understanding like a little bit of macro, I would say, like understand how stocks move. Cuz because we talked about the chicken sexers. Remember that? Remember we talked about chicken sexers? There's no reason that those people can tell if a chicken is going to be, you know, a chicken or a rooster or whatever. They literally just did it for so long that now their gut instincts are better and they can get it at a 95% correct rate. They can sex a chicken. I think that's pretty awesome. And that's kind of how it works, I think, with stocks too. Because and what they did, you know what they did to get good at it? They just guessed. They were just wrong. They were just wrong. They were just wrong. And then they just tried to be a little bit more right. They tried to look at little signs, and they can't even explain how they do it, but they can do it at a 95% success. I think that's true for markets as well, but you need a long time, right? You're probably going to need something like someone suggested 10 years. If you stare at charts for 10 years, you're probably going to get pretty good at understanding when things are likely to be a good decision and bad decision. But the best part is we have data going back for 10 years. So if you wanted to, you could really be like me, become obsessive of it for like 3 years, right? Learn a little bit, have your business ruined by COVID, have your house taken away by COVID to where you're pissed off enough that you say, I'm fucking learning this stuff. That's what happened to me. And that's, overall what made me, I think, a lot better. All right, seeing it drop off a little bit here. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us today. Rustlin, thank you guys so much for subscribing. Appreciate you guys being here. Oh yeah, sorry about that, Sid. Frick, that's why we did the whole Rumble thing. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop talking about things that YouTube censors us for. But if you guys want to join us on Rumble, we'll be switching over there in about 20 minutes. That's what I think is funny. There's like an anime that I'm watching, like they don't allow mistakes. If you get a mistake, you get banned from the school. And I was like, that's just silly. Mistakes are the best learning tool. Let's go for 2 years just to have it all flushed down the drain. That's why I started trading. Exactly, Brian. But it's like there is a difference, and that's what I learned from soccer. Can you use your emotion, that energy you get from emotion, for a good reason or a bad reason? Right? If I get mad that this gap down, am I just shorting because I'm mad at it and it's gapping down, or am I looking for the next real opportunity? I liked without having to be reminded. Richard did it. Richard did it. This price action does suck. Remember, I hate these big gaps. I do not like big gaps, but I kind of felt that gap was coming. Right, we had a signal that suggested downside. So that's why most of the video last night, we were talking about this over and over and over again and said, yeah, but if the 30-minute curls up, yeah, this is what you need to see to remain bullish. I think it's possible. That's why I held on to half of the meta and held on to the Amazon position, right? Just in case we saw this instead, right? Because that 580 still interesting. That max pain is 580. We'll see how day traders position throughout the day. I'm thinking this area right here looks really nice to close at, and I know that's outside of a daily expected move. Hey, what if we landed right here? That'd be sick. All right, here we go. See, I think just at least a little spike down. Fill that gap real quick, buddy. Well, we've seen some big moves on Mondays as well. This will be very dependent on what this looks like, right? Are we going to end the day like this, fill this gap and turn back down and end over here? Okay, then, well, 2 hour might be crossed down. You might see a gap down. And then a big, people get really bearish at the beginning of the week and then it just starts to rip. But overall, we still could do this today and I wouldn't be surprised. Doesn't that YouTube rule violate the First Amendment? Well, technically, yes, but they are a private company. Private companies are allowed to do whatever they want to do. But me, just in case they keep flagging those videos and for some reason, my videos get, flagged to the point where they're like, you can't go live for a week or something like that. That's why we're doing Rumble, guys. We're doing closing streams over there from now on. But we will have the open here on YouTube. Closing streams over on Rumble. If you'd like to join us all day today, though, guys, I'm trying to give back to you guys. The link is the first link in the description. Go make an account real quick and join us for the day. Think bounce? Well, there is a bounce can be a squeeze. A bounce can be a squeeze. Okay, I want to show you these bounces that were squeezing people. Right? This bounce right here is a squeeze. It's just a very quick one. Right? And I think this is still very possible. This bounce right here is a squeeze. It's really rapid. Look how much percent you go up from the wick all the way to the high. 7% in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4 days. So it's people got over leveraged here. If there's more work to be done, I think you are at risk of seeing this, by the way. This is part 3 to making this more complex. So we can talk about that a little bit today if you guys want to. It's pretty simple. If we're going to base out here for any reason, and this gap is still, say, like unfinished business down there, like let's say this is still, some form of unfinished business. Okay, awesome. Well, then maybe we're going to see like the daily rip here, get back into that monthly, and then drop immediately back down after we get back in that monthly move, right? And then everyone would be screaming crash then, right? That's how this becomes more complex on the daily scale. Now, this is where I will treat this with extreme caution. That's the scenario where I actually will be paying attention in case that does not come back, the lower high. But if it creates a divergence, that's going to be probably the mega squeeze. So you have potential for that mega squeeze, I think, now. But you also have potential for this to mess around for a while. Maybe go fill that gap into April. And then we actually see that turn back around. And then we buy ourselves a lot of time. If we buy ourselves time with this kind of look, if we get this, I'm probably leaning towards like just corrections throughout 2025 till maybe October, right? Once you see something like this can really hold you up for a long time, right? I mean, we can just look at the last time you did something like that and look how much time we have held up. The last time you did something like that was way over here. Look how much time you've held up. Well, from the drop, a year and a half, almost. A little less than that, but about a year and a half, right? So a base like that gives you a lot more time, all right? So it's going to be very important to pay attention to that. That's something we're probably going to talk about over the next couple of weeks. I might be taking a little, I've been working a lot. So I might be taking a break on Saturday, but maybe we can talk about that for a brief moment on Sunday, depending on today's price action. Now, the thing is about that 580, if they climb down to that early on in the day, those people could make money. So if that's retail by any means around at 550, sorry, then they might want to just pin the price here, allow those 550s to keep piling up. Yeah, feel the squeeze coming. You got to see if it's proven, right? Taking it early, you know, I get it. I risked to rewarded too on Meta. It worked out very, very fucking well. But that being said, man, I'm getting used to streaming on Rumble. I can actually, like, that's too much now. Yeah, I think that this, for the most part, though, the fact that you're kind of pinning at 560, and if you end the day up above these highs, that would be a very good thing, in my opinion. And you've seen big moves on Mondays. You've been bottled up for a while. I think you guys are right to pay attention if it becomes more complex. Like, you know, people saying bounce, not necessarily squeeze. A bounce can still be a squeeze. It can just be a brief one. So that's why I like to take a profit at least to break even. So say these weekly, let's just say that we end the week here. Well, then these moves are going to shift up, right? They're going to go like this, maybe like this, right? And then we might go to that weekly expected move, and that's where we see resistance come in. So that's what I'm going to be watching for, and I always like to take profit. Even if I'm believing squeeze, I like to take profit at the first weekly expected move that's tagged during that squeeze, and then just see if leave the runners or if there's a reversal signal. Because if this is going to remain with this type of volatility, you'll probably see a 2-hour divergence to the upside to tell you about, hey, is this going to fail? Or you'll at least get a hint of like, hey, this is a take profit level based on the weekly expected move. So give them a little cookie, right? A lot of people paying attention to crash, but there are a pretty decent amount of people paying attention to squeeze. So squeeze for a little bit, rip away the squeeze, convince those people that the squeeze is over and this is done and everything's falling. Then crash takes over the narrative. Then you go fill this gap down at 550 in the next like 3 weeks with that daily move up and daily move down, and then you see a daily divergence pop up, then you get the mega squeeze, right? That's the way this becomes way more complex. The much simpler thing would be squeeze right now, please, you know? This would actually be a more simple thing than that. Bounce coming, big dump mid-April. See, so that's kind of that scenario, Nicholas. You need that almost like daily moment, that macro moment where macro people think like this is it, we're good. But you could see like a 1 to 2 week squeeze that doesn't get you to all-time highs. Maybe it just gets you to a 50 or that, what was it, 5 what? Where's that top level? Where's that breakdown? Yeah, right in here, right? 590 to 600 pretty much. Maybe you get in here with a big move, bam, you get back in the monthlies very strong, everyone's convinced, and then it just completely fails. Hey, Ta with 72, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you for saying, hey, for streaming every day this week. All day, every day, okay? Give me the credit, Ta. No, thank you, Ta. Tom's been coming over to the live streams over on Rumble a lot with a bunch of other people. And so if you're not there, a lot of people are coming over there. So don't miss out, guys. It will be a good time, and we're going to continue to do those closing streams all next week. But thank you so much for the $10, Ta. Appreciate it. You can tell I'm slowly, my voice is slowly slowing down like all week long. Once we get to Friday, I'm like, man, I was like looking at the hours I've put in since like from like Sunday to Sunday. It'll be a shitload of hours. I'm just like, man, okay, it's reasonable for me to be like, all right, I think I'm going to have a Saturday, maybe go to the zoo or something. Do it. I like milk. I think you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. And we always said it's more so this too. If anything, wait, what? All day? Yeah, Huron, we've been streaming all day over on Rumble after the morning stream. You can get the link. It's the first link in the description if you want to join us today. And then we're doing closing streams next week, so you didn't fully miss out. It's just starting. This was a bingo. Oh, that's awesome, Steve-O. You've been showing up every day too. That's crazy. Man, we get lucky sometimes, right, Steve-O? Maybe it happened for a reason. I thought you stopped after 11. Oh no, missing out. Yeah, I've been trying to say it at the beginning and the end of the stream. Maybe you've just accidentally been, focusing on the trade or something at those times, which is great. Focus on your trading. My live show ain't the end all be all. You got to be focusing on your money. You're managing money right now, right? You're a money manager. Isn't that crazy? You're managing your money right now. You're deciding what's best to do with your money. So I totally understand. Mike, thank you so much for the $10 as well. Appreciate all your time and hard work. Hey, you guys, I really appreciate that. It makes it a little sweet at the end of this very, very long work week. Thankfully, I've still been able to catch the trades that I wanted to. I've been able to hedge at the right. Like my behavior has not gone down, which I really thought this would be difficult to keep my good trading behavior. But the good part is I'm so aware of it because we're streaming and showing off everything all the time. So thank you, both of you. Thank you, Mike, for the $10. And thank you guys for showing up over at Rumble. It's been a great experience. There's obviously some hiccups if you go over there. It's your first time today. You can click the show, hit the button to play it, and then it could take up to 10 seconds for it to load, right? That's one of the problems we ran into. So there are problems, but I think that the experience is still a very good one. Okay, good. So Haran, you're missing, but you didn't fully miss out. Come get your fill today, okay? We'll be there all day today. So go make an account over on Rumble. We literally, the transition is like a 2-minute thing. We're going to do it in about 10 minutes. I think even yesterday I started the live stream a little early. Taking back 560 here, this will be a great time to transition. I think day traders would target gap fill now, the middle of the zone. 565, 79, something there. I think they would target the middle of that zone. If this is able to curl up on something, you might see it, right? 15-minute, maybe we do that, reject. The key thing is now you have a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, a new low. Do you make that lower high again over here? All right, and then do you chop that out? That's going to be big. Is it possible that you still do these on YouTube? I'm just trying to make it so Rumble's kind of an exclusive thing. I will still do these every morning, Huron. Nothing on YouTube is changing. We're just adding closing streams on Rumble, trying to give you guys a big benefit for this week too. But no, everything on YouTube stays exactly the same, just to keep that clear for everyone. All right, back in the daily expected moves. Very, very nice. I want to see if Amazon is doing the thing yet. I think it's fallen off a little bit. See if that can curl up. Oh, that's a 15. Whew, that tricked me for a sec. I was like, did I miss it? GME, is that holding its positivity? Very interesting. One thing I would say, something I looked at was during one of the moments, I can't remember which one, during one of the moments of the GME squeezes, one of the two, I can't remember which one, I'd have to go look. Maybe I'll look this weekend. The stock market squeezed with GME first. Then after the market tipped over and rolled back down on the daily, just like this type of scenario, GME and AMC both kept popping off. So I'm weirdly enough interested to see if that happens. That's not a point to say I think that's going to happen. I I don't. I'm not lotto stocks. I'm not trying to call the moment. I just hold the stock and play options when I think it makes sense. But I will say that would be a super interesting thing. And if that happens, I will be saying it is very cool. Yay, okay, after this meta, please. Okay, we'll get in. How about this here, Ron? How about you give us a few minutes here? We're probably going to transition over in about 5 minutes. So give us that time to transition over. And you can ask over there, and we'll check out meta first thing, okay? Because meta just looks like it's making that right shoulder. Bulls need to get above 561 and hold. I think you just hold above 560. You're one hardworking dude. Jackcats, whew. It's been a wild one. And those hours aren't even including the all-nighter I pulled last Friday to really research if Rumble was the place I wanted to do this, right? I was looking at Twitch, Kick. I've worked with Twitch. I didn't have to do much there. Kick, I was looking at that. I was looking at Blue Sky. No, I wasn't. No, I was looking at maybe Twitter, but you have to pay to do things there. So I just go, Rumble makes the most sense. They promote free speech. So that's kind of the problem I think we might run into with YouTube. And therefore, I'm going to just give you guys something extra. There's nothing being taken away from YouTube. All I'm doing is taking on an extra 5 to 7 hours a week streaming with you guys. At the end of each day, we're going to be closing streams over on Rumble. So when you switch over there, we'll talk about how to turn on notifications because it's a little different. But either way, we are seeing a move back into those daily expected moves. Very, very interesting. People still overall neutral, if not slightly towards the call side. So VIX, if this curls down on the 30-minute, hey, that's kind of saying this is failing. We might start something big here. 2-hour curls down, then it's really failing, right? If the 2-hour does this and doesn't see like a wick come in right away, that's going to be a problem. So what can we watch on the SPY? Well, let's watch this 15 or 30-minute, see if this thing can curl up, and then we'll see if we even get that big reaction to create another point here. I think that would be wild, but I'm not going to take it out of the realm of possibility. I want to see if this is curling down with a lower high or a divergence. Gold GLD is V-shaping. Got to be quick with it. Very nice. The play is a longer play, so you know this could take a while. Doesn't have to close in the weekly expected move, but Rumble has earnings in 4 days. Any opinions on the progress of the platform compared to before? Well, I downloaded it a year and a half ago, or maybe even 2 years ago, and it was trash. Hector, thank you so much for joining and telling us what you think. So 561's the level Hector's paying attention to. Thank you for that, Hector. Yeah, it was. I got to be honest, it was trash. I think 2 years ago. They have made it completely different now, in my opinion. I think it looks a lot like a mixture, like Twitch and YouTube got together and made a baby. Do we expect Amazon to pull back? Well, I think that's what you're getting now. You're getting this now, this 30-minute, say, pullback. You know how you fail, right? You know how the 2-hour stops crossing down, 30-minute goes up. You know you have a chance to curl this daily up with a strong confirmation. 30-minute curls up, you see a strong move, and that gets a strong confirmation. That's all we're looking for. And I think everyone's looking for the follow-through day. What if you end the day like this? Everyone will be saying follow-through day. Like for my, like to give me some tacos. My wife hates tacos, weirdly enough. They have to be good tacos. Let's put it that way. I can't go and buy like crap tacos that I like. You know, you just like those kind of like even street tacos down the street. She's like, no, I need fancier. Because I like it from the weekly expiration. But Rumble, as far as it goes, improving. I did my research. It looks like it's about in the 2007, 2008 era of YouTube. And so if we ever see a shift, I think that shift would come in 2 years. That would be a great thing for growth in our community and safety for our community as far as censorship goes. Universal codes, I know we've looked at that one before, haven't we? I'll go look at that, but we're going to have to switch over to Rumble right now. Let's try to switch over decently quick. I'm going to try to start the stream right away. That way we can see it. But here you go, guys. We do have Rumble. You can see that little graphic there. We have the link, the first link down in the description. And we're thinking about adding those Rumble expected moves because it's kind of fun there. But I'm going to try to turn the stream on right now so you guys can go join, and then all I have to do is send over my my screen pretty much, and we're good to go. I see some people already made some accounts there. That's awesome. Transition over. If you missed out on the all-day stream this week, that's unfortunate. They're not over yet. You didn't fully miss out. Come join us over there. All right. I'm going to potentially start that up, at least so you guys can see it right now. Let's do this. Let me make the title here. So the title for that is, we'll just put big squeeze incoming question mark, right? We're still a question mark. There's always a percentage that it's not, but I'm going to start that up real quick, and then you guys can pop over there. You can always participate in chat before I get there. I'm going to end the stream over here on YouTube. If you would like to join us over on Rumble, we welcome you with open arms. Come join us. We will talk about all these things. Haran, come over and we'll talk about meta, universal codes. If you want to talk about FET, we can talk about that as well here in a moment. Give me about 2 minutes to transition over. Be right back. Links down there in the description, guys. If you're not going to join us, I still wish you luck. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you guys are having a plan for everything that's going on here.